Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at the Hunters on Shadowlands Alpha. I made a poll the other day, and a lot of you guys voted, and a lot of you voted for Hunter as the second most requested class. So today we'll be taking a look at the Hunter and all the changes that it's getting in Shadowlands. Now this is an alpha footage, so this isn't going to be the final product. There's a lot of changes that are most likely going to come to a variety of specs, but this is just going to be a first look at where the Hunter is at in the early alpha, just to give you guys a glimpse where Blizzard is thinking of taking the class and its specs. So let's get into the video. So first of all, every class in this game is only at level 50, so not max level. We are also at very low item level, so not a lot of stats. And also Blizzard's philosophy in this expansion is to really emphasize the class, but still have distinguished specs. So classes are going to have a lot more abilities. So for the class of Hunter, there's quite a big toolkit of abilities that you bring. First of all, starting at the beginning, you have Arcane Shot, which is available for all three specs of Hunter, whether you use it or not. Even Survival has access to Arcane Shot, but even if you have it, doesn't mean you always need to use it. So Marksman and Beastmaster also have it. The biggest difference between Arcane Shot and current Cobra Shot: Arcane Shot is 30 focus for 300 arcane damage. Now Cobra Shot is 45 focus for 349 physical damage, but it does play with your kill command, so essentially as BM, I don't think you'll use Arcane Shot that much. We also have Aspect of the Cheetah, Turtle, Call Pet, and we have a variety of different pets from the serpents, the stags, the moths, and foxes, and you can actually have your character look at your pets and have them look back at you. You see the pet actually facing me? Face in. It's just an interaction they have for all NPCs in the game, so as you have, let's say, NPCs in bars, you actually can look at your pets and they can look back at you, so kind of interesting. We have still Disengage, a 20-second cooldown. Eagle Eye is still in the game. Exhilaration as a heal is still in the game, and Eyes of the Beast doesn't work. Hopefully it'll work sometime soon, because I think it'll be fun to run around as your fox. You have Feign Death, Flare, Freezing Trap, all the same as they were, and Hunter's Mark making it back into the Hunter-based toolkit, so every spec of Hunter has it. You'll do 5% more damage to the enemy, and you'll always be able to track them. So even if a rogue goes to stealth, you'll still be able to see them. So feel free to use this in Battlegrounds once you get into Shadowlands. I think this is going to be quite good, and maybe even busted in certain arenas. Let's go on to the rest of the abilities. We have still the Pet Command ability that's going to be different based on your pet. So because I have a Cunning Pet, we have Master's Call, and the other ones are still there. The Lust is still there, and the Defense is still there, and they're exactly the same. You also have Misdirection, which has been changed slightly. So when you misdirect to your tank or your pets, you'll now have a 30-second buff, where next ability from the Hunter is going to redirect the threat. Very similar to the Rogue Tricks of Trade. A lot of Hunters are loving this because, hey, you can hold on to it, and then once you're ready to do damage, let's say your tank needs a moment to set up and get their abilities ready and all that, you can just put it on them, and while they're waiting, 30-second delay, so you don't have to just misdirect, and then there's this 8 seconds where you're like, okay, go. This is really nice. Really good change to misdirect. Pet utilities still have all the basic pet abilities. You also get Scare Beast for any of those beasts that you can fear. I think this would be really good against druids in PvP. You get Tar Trap and Tranquilizing Shot. Now normally Tranq Shot was an ability that some pets had. They would have an ability where you would use the pet's focus to de-enrage an enemy and remove a match debuff. Now it's a Hunter ability. I believe it is on GCD, so let me just make sure. It is on GCD. So it used to be on the pet GCD, but now it's on your GCD, which in some cases is better, in other cases it's worse. But now it has the control to the Hunters, so you can choose whatever pet you like, whether there's a certain look for the pet or a specific pet command ability. Anyway, moving on to the Beastmaster based abilities. What is new? What is different? Aspect of the Wild, still the same. We have Bark Shot still, 30% auto attack speed with focus generation. Bestial Wrath seems to be exactly the same. We have Cobra Shot still doing the same thing. Concussive Shot. We have Counter Shot, Intimidation for a minute, Kill Command, and Kill Shot makes it come back. You can only use this at 20% health on enemies and does quite a bit of damage for very little focus with a 10-second cooldown. You have Multi-Shot, which is capped on 5 enemies, and the big one, Beast Cleave, capped on 5 enemies. However, there's a lot of other classes that have a cap on AoE. And Beastmaster is just one of those classes that got hit, but a lot of other classes got hit. I think right now it's easier to count classes that don't have a cap than they do, and most classes have some sort of a cap on AoE at this point. Moving on, we have Exotic Beast still for Beast Mastery to tame exotic pets. I don't think I have any of my pets that are exotic, so I don't know if they have any Spirit Heal abilities or anything new, but I guess time will tell. We got Kindred Spirits, Beast Mastery, Mastery for the pet damage increase. Pack Tactics, which I believe might be new, or it just got separated from another passive, but passive focus regen increased by 100% and Wild Call. When it comes to the talents for Beastmaster Hunter, we got some new talents, but a lot of the old ones as well. First row is Killer Instinct with Animal Companion and Dire Beast, nothing new there. Level 25 we have Chimera Shot with 10 focus regen, 1 with a pack, and new Scent of Blood. Activating Bestial Wrath grants 2 charges of Barb Shot, so now you can kind of plan around how many charges of Barb Shot you want to play with, and gives you a much more bursty and reliable damage during Bestial Wrath. Level 30 Trailblazer, Natural Mending and Camo, all the same. Level 35 we got Murder Crows, Thrill of the Hunt, and Spitting Cobra. Spitting Cobra is different. It used to be, I think, at level bottom row, so this is level 50, I think this was 90 or 100 talent. But Spinning Cobra used to be just summon a Cobra that does some damage and I think gives you focus. It wasn't really well played. So now instead, Bestial Wrath, while it's up, the more Cobra shots you use while Bestial Wrath is up, the stronger of a Cobra you build up. So when Bestial Wrath ends, you summon a Cobra that's as strong as many Cobra shots that you shot during the buff. So if you shot, let's say, 4 shots, it's a 40% stronger Cobra. Now this talent doesn't really work properly, so I'm not going to be testing it here. It summons a Cobra, and it doesn't hit training dummies, and when it does hit things, it's a very underwhelming damage, so that's something that Blizzard can balance in the future. Level 40 we have Born to be Wild, Post Haste, and Binding Shot. Level 45 we have Stomp, Barrage that has a cap of 8 targets, and Stampede at a 2-minute cooldown. At level 50 we have Beast, Aspect of the Beast, Killer Cobra, and new one called Bloodshed. 50-yard range, 1-minute cooldown, commit your pet to tear into your target, cause them to bleed over 18 seconds, and increase all damage taken from your pet by 15% for 18 seconds. That could be really strong with your Scent of Blood playstyle, maybe Killer Instinct as a big execute, and that could be quite a lot of damage. I don't know if this works off of your main pet, or if you use Animal Companion, both pets benefit, but I think it's safe to say it's at least main pet, but could be both. For now, we just don't even know. So the playstyle for Beastmaster Hunter is very simple. One of the things that some of the guys that I've talked to about Beastmaster Hunter, they mentioned that the current playstyle of BM and BFA has a lot of traits and essences and pieces of gear that play into a very proc-based, crit-based playstyle that's engaging. And this spec and build of Beastmaster is going to be more base, as a lot of classes are going to feel with all of our traits and essences lost. So Beastmaster Hunter is going to be pretty simple. You get your kill commands on cooldown as much as you can, make sure not to get focus capped by using Cobra Shot. And you want to maintain Barb Shot in order to give you back focus and in order to speed up the auto attacks of your pet. And you can stack it up to 3 times. Every time you Cobra Shot, you reduce the cooldown of your kill command, and you just simply are trying not to lose out on Frenzy as best you can, so you want to try to refresh it at the very last possible second. And you also want to pop Bestial Wrath when possible and do as much damage as you can. Every time you Barb Shot, you reduce the cooldown of your Bestial Wrath, so that stays as the normal mechanic. And essentially trying to maintain a buff, try not to cap on focus, and trying to press kill command as soon as you can. And you should press most of your damage and abilities during Bestial Wrath if possible. And that's essentially the spec of Hunter, and you could throw in Aspect of the Wild as well for extra crit chance. The more abilities crit, the more likely you are to get Barb Shot back. And that's it. That's the simplicity of the spec. And then you could use other talents, like we have Bloodshed to increase extra auto attack damage or extra damage from your pet in general. Especially if the enemy is low in execute, you might be able to get more Killer Instinct damage. Outside of that, that's really it. And you maintain Hunter's Mark on the enemy the whole time. So Beastmaster playstyle is going to be very base, very simple. It does have that execute mechanic and it does have the cleave capability. But if you wanted a simple spec of Hunter, which is perfect for leveling, or probably the best spec of Hunter to pick up when you're new at the game, this is still going to be the spec. Maybe Blizzard will go back and they'll bake certain traits and essences or certain playstyles that BFA have formed back into the Hunter, but this spec, if you're used to the current BFA, some players have described it as this new version of Hunter in Shadowlands. It's simply just a stripped version of the current BFA, so it could potentially be dull. But the way I like to look at it, it is simple, and simple isn't always bad. Simple can mean, well, you can have a really simple playstyle, but you also have other synergies. You can have Animal Companion playstyle together with Scent of Blood, Killer Cobra, and Spitting Cobra. So as you're bursting down the enemy during your Bestial Wrath, you also develop a very strong Cobra. You can have Murder of Crows, Chimera Shot for the cleave. If you need a big execute damage, Killer Instinct is good, but you don't lose too much in execute because you already have kill shot. So I guess the Talons and the build right now gives you some viability, but it's very similar to Assassination Rogue. It's going to be this tried and true spec of that certain class that hasn't really changed too much, and it's going to be the old reliable as what we remember. The next spec on this list, and I think you'll be happy to see this one, is Marksman Hunter. And it feels like Marksman got improved, but I guess maybe it might be too early to call. But let's take a look at what Marksman has in its toolkit. The class abilities are going to be exactly the same, so we can move on to Marksmanship Hunter abilities. You're starting with Aim Shot, which still has 2 charges, does quite a bit of damage. Binding Shot baseline, and it actually has a cool new animation. It looks like Genji's arrows from Overwatch. But yeah, Binding Shot baseline might give Beastmaster Hunter a little bit more control in dungeons, and especially in PvP. Burst and Shot knockback is still there. Concussive Shot is still there in the game with a steady focus that can extend the duration. Counter Shot, Kill Shot as every Hunter, Multi-Shot, Rapid Fire. True Shot has the effect of where Aim Shot and Rapid Fire cooldown is reduced by 60% and causes Aim Shot to cast 50% faster. Lone Wolf is still going to be a passive if you play without a pet. Mastery Sniper Training increases range and damage of your abilities. Precise Shots, Aim Shots cause your next 1 or 2 Arcane or Multi-Shots to deal 75% more damage. Rapid Fire gives you extra focus. Steady Shot gives you extra focus. Trick Shots allows you to have the abilities of Aim Shot and Rapid Fire to ricochet for 50% of the normal damage as your cleave. When it comes to talents for Marksman, we got a few changes, but nothing crazy. First row, Master Marksman is changed, so now Aim Shot has additional 25% chance to do a crit strike. Kind of boring, but that is the change to be more passive. On the same row as Serpent Sting and Murder Crows. In the next row, we have Careful Aim at level 25 row, with Barrage at 8 target cap, and then Explosive Shot with 6 target cap, but the damage seems to be a little bit better, at least on the alpha. Level 30 we have Trailblazer, Natural Mending, and Camouflage. Level 35 we have Steady Focus, which is the same as on Live, Streamline, and Chimera Shot, which on Marksman doesn't give back focus. I don't remember if that is a thing on Live or not. Or maybe Chimera Shot wasn't even a talent for MM. It's been a bit. Then we got level 40, Born to be Wild, Post Haste, and Binding Shackles. Targets rooted by Binding Shot deal 20% less damage to you for 8 seconds after the root effect ends, obviously designed with PvP in mind. Level 45 we have Lethal Shots, Deadeye, which makes Kill Shot have 2 charges and causes Aim Shot to recharge 50% faster for 3 seconds. I would guess after a Kill Shot. Then we have Double Tap, which is the same as it is on Live. Level 50 we have Calling the Shots to reduce the cooldown of your True Shot. Lock and Load for random procs of Aim Shot that are going to be insta-cast, no focus. And Volley makes a return that has a really cool animation. We'll show you in just a moment. So take a look at Marksman Hunter. You're going to have actually a spec that feels a little bit more complete. It didn't really take a lot from Battle for Azeroth, but in terms of the playstyle, it feels like Blizzard is just... The base Marksman Hunter, when it first started in BFA, felt okay. And this seems more like the endgame Marksman Hunter that doesn't really use the essences or traits. So it feels pretty good to play. Usually start out your openers with an Aim Shot into a Arcane Shot to spend some focus, and you would gain back focus by using Rapid Fire. And you want to make sure you're not capped on Aim Shots on 2 charges, so you're just trying to spend those when you can. And you're watching out for your focus, make sure you're not too under. If you need more focus, you shoot Steady Shot. And that's it, you're just trying to make sure you're not capped on focus. Sometimes you'll even use Arcane Shots in order to dump a little bit of your focus. And there you go. The spec does quite a bit of damage right now on the alpha, not that's reflecting of what the spec is going to do towards the end game. And then during your True Shot, you actually have a playstyle where you just rapid fire at the enemy. And if I were to do the same rotation as I would in Battle for Azeroth, you would Aim Shot into Arcane Shot, then aim shot into rapid fire, just trying to get through as many aim shots as possible while the buff is up. Does quite a bit of damage overall. And it feels very, very similar to what the spec is like. So what feels any different with the spec? How can you adjust it with your talents? Well, maybe Serpent might be good at one point, maybe Murder Crows. Careful aim seems to be really strong, but Explosive Shot could actually be legitimately good in key situations, like in Mythic Plus keys for a bit of AoE. Chimera Shot seems to have a little bit of that cleave to it, but maybe Streamline or City Focus might be better. The one talent I find very interesting is Deadeye, except we can't really test on the trade nibbles because they never get low on health. But that would be really good, and I feel like since Deadeye also gives your aim shot causes it to recharge 50% faster for 3 seconds. Imagine using Kill Shot. You get faster recharges for aim shot, whether you have True Shot or not. With Master Marksman that buffs your aim shot. With Careful Aim, that's going to do 50% bonus damage, since if you're using Kill Shots, the enemy is already at 20% health. I feel like that combo could be very deadly in this massive Execute Rapid Fire bonus for Marksman. And maybe that's where most of the damage with the spec is going to be. Very similar to Arms Warrior Massive Executes. You'll simply be the Arms Warrior with a bow. Also, Volley is a really cool ability, and I would imagine it plays insanely good in AoE. It does quite a lot of damage, and it looks really cool. If you just look at it, I mean, you can see the arrows flying from the sky, the shadows, and it just looks very busy. I can imagine, and somebody said on stream, what if somebody had a multi-boxing a bunch of Marksman Hunters, and you all just decide to pop a volley on top of an enemy target, and it's just, you could lag him out with just so many different little arrows as a spell animation. I think that could be really cool. What's cool about Volley too is it allows Marksman this AoE cleave playstyle, because while Volley is active, damage to any enemy in the area is going to give you trick shots as long as Volley is active. So Volley lasts for 6 seconds. During this ability, you also have trick shots, so your abilities are going to naturally ricochet to any enemies in the area. So during that moment, you'll be able to just fire off a bunch of aim shots and rapid fires, and this will be in a sense your cleave. Normally, Marksman Hunters, in order to proc trick shots, have to multi-shot and hit 3 targets. But if it's a 2-target cleave, it actually lets you get the 2-target with Volley. Not only does it do good damage to enemies, but if you're able to rapid fire, aim shot into rapid fire, that could be like a big burst for you in order to cleave. Overall, it's a cool looking ability with a lot that it could allow the spec. I like that Blizzard is trying to give Marksman a little bit for PvP with Binding Shackles. There's some changes to the Talons, but for the most part, it seems like a very deadly spec with this Deadeye, Master Marksman, Careful Aim combo. And it seems like it probably plays one of the better specs in the game right now out of Hunters. They might need to do something in focus with Hunters, but the simple rotation of aim shots, steady shots, rapid fire, and arcane shot just gives you such a good flow for your focus. And the spec right now, currently on the alpha, does a lot of damage, so it's very enjoyable. So potentially it could be one of the better specs to look forward to with Shadowlands arriving. Finally, we're going to talk about Survival Hunter. Now, Survival Hunter got the least amount of changes, while also the most amount of changes. Like, the base abilities that are given to Hunter itself allow Survival to do some really wacky things. However, the spec itself didn't really get too much rework for this new expansion. So let me explain. First of all, class abilities, you have access to Arcane Shot, which you actually can use if you use a ranged weapon. Same thing with Steady Shot if you equip a ranged weapon. And right now, Tranquilizing Shot does not work unless you have a ranged weapon, which pretty sure it's a bug. But you got abilities like Wind Clip. That's the only ability I think is actually different in the whole class tab. Going on to the spellbook tab for Survival itself, you have still Aspect of the Eagle, Carve, Coordinated Assault, you have Harpoon, Intimidation, you have Kill Command, Kill Shot, Muzzle, which is your Interrupt, Raptor Strike, you have Serpent Sting, Wildfire Bomb, and you still say Mastery Spirit Bond, giving you a little bit heal over time between you and your pet, and giving you focus spending abilities slightly more damage. For Talons, Blizzard didn't change a single talent. Instead, what they did is they buffed certain talents that weren't previously good, which on the alpha I feel like that's relative, because the numbers are going to go up and down, but I guess at level 50 you can see which talents are looking strong and which aren't. So in the first row everything is the same, and I believe none of these talents got buffed. Next row, Guerrilla Tactics is the same, Hydra's Bite got buffed to 20% damage over time instead of 10, and Butchery massively buffed where it actually feels like a good choice when you're questing and you're hitting more than one enemy. It actually does a lot of damage and it's a lot of fun. Level 30 Trailblazer, Natural Mending, and Camo are the same. Level 35 Bloodseeker is the same. Steel Trap does significantly more damage, and Crows really does some serious damage now for survival. Then level 40 we have Born to be Wild, Post Haste, and Binding Shot. Level 45 we have Tip of the Spear, which has been buffed, so with 3 kill commands it increases the damage of your Raptor Strike by 75%. Mongoose Bite isn't changed, and it takes you 4 or 5 hits of Mongoose Fury in order to build up that 75 extra damage, so it seems like a worse version of Tip of the Spear in a sense. Flanking Strike got massively buffed now as well, and does quite a bit of damage. Level 50 Birds of Prey is the same, Wildfire Infusion stays, and Chakrams cost less focus, and it might actually be a decent choice of a talent. Now Survival, and I guess I also forgot to mention Hunter's Mark is also available for Survival. How could I forget that it's also still available? But talking about the playstyle for Survival it's difficult to really explain what Survival is supposed to play. So essentially it feels like the Survival right now gets to choose, almost like sub-rogues back in BFA, which mechanics do you want your spec to play. It's not like Blizzard has a basic idea. I mean, I guess they have the basic idea. You're supposed to use kill commands in order to generate focus, use Raptor Strikes to dump focus, throw grenades when you can, and maintain your dot. But depending on how you build your talents, you have completely different focus in terms of how you play your spec, what abilities you press, what you prioritize. So it's really all over the place, and it's really difficult to figure out the proper build. For example, Wildfire Infusion has playstyles where you're trying to pull energy until you have specific bombs, maybe. And once you drop down Shrapnel Bomb, you get a bunch of Raptor Strikes. Or you drop down Pheromone Bomb and Kill Command Spree to victory. But if you're playing this together with Mongoose Bite, now you have this ability trying to pull energy on Focus 4, and you have this ability trying to pull Focus 4, and sometimes they desync with one another, where it actually feels better just to play Tip of the Spear or Flank and Strike. Or if you're going to play a Mongoose Bite, it feels better to play Birds of Prey. And if you're not playing Alpha Predator, you probably should play Flank and Strike, because where else are you going to get focus from? Because if this ability procs or if it doesn't, I mean, it just kind of, the spec is a little bit all over the place, and it's really difficult to pinpoint what should be the best build. But this is the build that I've got working on right now. Essentially what I'll do with this build is I will harpoon into the enemy, put up my dots, and I'll throw a grenade. Depending on the grenade that I have, I'll start, let's Shrapnel Bomb. I'll try using the Raptor Strike as much as I can. Then I have myself another grenade, which is Pheromone Bomb, which allows my kill commands to be instantly refreshed, and I can use them right again. When I am max on Tip of the Spear, I will use my Raptor Strike in order to consume the buff where I missed. And whenever I have a bomb for Volatile Bomb here, that's green, it will refresh the dot of my Serpent Sting, so then I won't refresh my dot. I'll just hold on to the bomb. With Pheromone Grenade, I will try to use it while I'm low on focus and spam out a lot of focus. I'll try to maintain my dot if I can, cashing in on my Tip of the Spear. And it goes more focus generation until I can get something better. We got Tip of the Spear back up. We got a green grenade, which will refresh my dot. Back to generating focus. Have enough focus, now we can spend it. Back to generation, and in some cases sometimes I'll just wait until my focus comes back. The one thing I noticed in Survival is the focus generation in Survival feels really, really bad. It's like as if baseline focus got so much worse. This is how slow it is. And if I were to, let's say, you go through all my focus spending abilities and just start spamming Kill Command, it feels so much slower than live version of the game for Survival. So maybe Haste Gear is going to affect this heavily, and it might. But right now, Survival, just the focus generation is really, really weird. However, the spec does damage. If you're questing, compared to some of the other specs that I've played, the spec does relatively good damage. It's a little clunky, but it works. But it also has something interesting about it. So Survival has something very, very unique about it. And it's the fact that you can use certain ranged abilities. So if I were to grab a gun, now I can use certain abilities. I lose the ability to use Raptor Strike, or Interrupt, or Harpoon the enemy. However, if I were to replace my Raptor Strike with Arcane Shot, in a sense I'm a ranged hunter now. And if I do certain talent changes, like choose Chakrams, maybe go for Flanking Strike, maybe go for, let's do Hydra's Bite for the extra dot damage, and we'll stay with Alpha Predator with Crows. Now I'm an old school ranged hunter. I don't know how good this will be in the long run, but hear me out. Hear me out. I was just showing this to a guildie of mine. But what you'll do is you will usually, I don't know, put up dots on the enemy. you'll throw a grenade, you get crows rolling, pop cooldowns, throw chakrams, kill command, and if you ever need focus back, you'll just use arcane shot, putting up your dot again from a distance with serpent sting, trying to arcane shot as much as you can, re-grenading, arcane shot, walking up for that flanking strike which works with a gun or a bow, reapplying your dots, and essentially you have yourself a ranged survival hunter that kind of sort of works. Now how good this is, I don't really know. But potentially if you could have some sort of a build with the right talents and maybe right trinkets, you might have something that might actually seem pretty good. The advantages of this playstyle is you are at range. And the advantage you have as a survival actually is you have certain abilities that don't have a cap on the amount of targets you have. Now it seems counterintuitive because you would want to use Carve in order to get wildfire bombs back, but wildfire bombs doesn't have a cap on how many enemies it hits. There's a bunch of enemies in the area, you throw a wildfire bomb, it'll explode behind where the angle that you hit the enemy, and everybody will get a dot. And then you could use abilities such as chakrams to, let's say, cleave through multiple enemies. It doesn't have a cap on how many enemies it hits. If you go for Hydra's Bite, you can dot up multiple enemies, so in a sense you have a ranged playstyle where you don't actually have to get up close. However, I don't think this is actually going to be a legit playstyle. It just gives you the option, but nothing says that this is actually going to be something that's good for the build, or nothing says that this is actually going to be viable. But the fact that Blizzard lets you play this playstyle, lets you play this, I guess, choice of abilities and talents and gives you so much more freedom, I think it's nice, even though it's something that you probably are never actually going to end up doing realistically. It does give you at least an option. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, what you think about the Hunter currently in Shadowlands and where it's at. What do you like, what do you not like, and just let me know your thoughts. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed us taking a look at where Hunter is at right now in the early alpha of the new expansion. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.